Hey there, it's Austin Bach, and we're back doing an Innistrad draft. Flashback drafts are on Moto this week, and it's one of my favorite draft formats of all time. So naturally, we're gonna take it for a spin today. So there is a spider spawning in this pack, which is one of the sweeter archetypes you can draft in this format. There's also a Daybreak Ranger, which is probably just an overall better card. But I'm gonna take the sweet card, because that's kind of the dream, right? Do an Innistrad flashback draft, draft the spider spawning deck, try to go deep. That's the whole point of joining these things, right? There's also a Dream Twist, which is pretty integral to that deck, because usually it's base blue-green. You're trying to self-mill yourself. Dream Twist is also good in the Burning Vengeance deck, if that comes together, but Spider Spawning is obviously the more important card to that archetype, being uncommon and all. Alright, pack 2. It doesn't look like anything really goes well in that in the spider spawning deck. Bitterheart Witch is not great. Scursed Cultist is fine. Could take Traveler's Amulet, which would be a pretty big speculative pick. Pretty much just saying, like, I'm staking my claim now, I'm taking every card that has to do with the spider spawning deck and just hoping it comes together. There is a rare missing, so we don't have to worry about too much other than this pack just not being good for us. I mean, the correct pick is the Scursed Cultist, and I guess I'll just take it here in case the spider spawning deck doesn't come together, but I'm hoping that this is just a mispack and we still get to keep doing what we've been doing. Alright, Armored Scob is one of the other key pieces of self-mill that you need to get the engine going for spider spawning. So it looks like a pretty easy pick here if that's what we want to do. Cloistered Youth is a pretty good aggro card, and this pack is pretty bad otherwise, so I think it's a pretty straightforward pick. Again, taking a Traveler's Amulet in the last pack, if I knew I was going to be spider spawning, would have been fine. But second picking a Traveler's Amulet when you can usually get them later, and it's not a crucial piece. It's just so you can, you know, turn on the back half of spider spawning if you're in blue-green. Yeah, we're just looking for a bunch of Armored Scabs and Deranged Assistants, Dream Twists, and more spider spawnings. What do we have here? Curse of the Bloody Tome is like a mediocre self-mill enabler if nothing else comes together. What's missing out of this pack? An uncommon and a common. Victim of Night is very strong, but black is not really where we want to be. Don't want a double splash for removal. Downside is actually pretty relevant in this format too. There's a lot of stuff that it can't hit, but it's still a good card, of course. Grizzled Outcast, Somberwald Spider isn't bad either. It's just worse than spider spawning usually. So I could take the Curse of the Bloody Tome and just stake my claim now. The alternative is Victim of Night, but I know what I want to do. I'm going for it. Another Curse. It is a bit of a risky card. You do run the risk of milling yourself out if you try to go deep on it, targeting yourself, and then it doesn't come together. What else is in this pack? I don't love Hollowhenge Scavenger, but it's playable. Grasp of Phantoms is kind of the same deal, but I think I will take it here. It's just a flexible card that we'll be happy to have in our deck, and if we're self-milling, then, you know, flashback cards go up in value a little bit. There's a Memories Journey. There's also a Ghoulcaller's Bell. So it is nice to have one Memories Journey in your deck, in these kinds of decks, so that A, you don't lose to your own Curse of the Bloody Tome, and you can combo it with Runic Repetition to just loop your deck together, so you can never mill and then you can win with like a Ghoulcaller's Bell. But I'll just take the Ghoulcaller's Bell first. Memories Journey is usually pretty easy to pick up, and we only want one copy. But the bell could be pretty important if we don't get enough of the self-mill we want. There's nothing really for us here. Don't really want any of these cards, so I'll just take the best card, which is the Crossway Vampire. Well, red aggro could be open. Grave Bramble is playable though, so I will take that here. If we end up green-black defensive spider spawning, I wouldn't mind a Grave Bramble, even though there are creatures I would rather have. Make do with what you got. Hasn't been a great pack for us. It's hard to tell sometimes if this deck is open, just because the cards you need are so random and niche that you can never be sure if someone else is drafting it or if you're just not seeing the right cards in the right orders. What do we want here? I guess we can play Caravan Vigil if we have to. Play a lower land count. And fix for black if we need to, of course. But yeah, so far just a lot of filler. Only 2 cards we actually want, which is not a great place to be. Corpse Lunge is playable, I guess, if we want to splash a little heavier. Creature count's not looking great either. Only 2 creatures and they're both defensive. But as long as we get like another spider spawning or 2, I'm not really going to care about our actual creatures as much as our creature count, which is the bigger concern. Because you do still want to have like, 14-ish creatures so that the spider spawning can get you a good number of spiders and keep you alive. So hopefully that was just an outlier pack, and we'll be seeing some slightly better options in the next pack. Alright, Mimi's Journey came back. Likely will make our deck, but you never know. Alright, what do we have here? Again, nothing great. Make-A-Wish isn't really where we want to be. Think Twice, probably Sensory Deprivation is the best option for me. It's just cheap removal. You do need to still interact with your opponent, even though you're trying to ignore them for the most part. You can't just do nothing to stop their board. So this looks like a pretty simple pick. Nothing else for us other than the Think Twice. Here's a Dream Twist and a Silent Departure. Both of those are pretty desirable. I think I like... it's actually kind of close which one I like better. Silent Departure, obviously the better card. It's worth noting that this Dream Twist did not wheel out of the last pack. So someone else is definitely doing something with Self-Mill in order for them to have taken it over every other card in that pack. I think I still like Silent Departure here, though. It's a very good card for what we're trying to do. Ludwig's Test Subject. I mean, it's not a bad card. Could take it here. There's nothing really else for me anyway, besides like a big creature or an Orchard Spirit, which isn't that great. Alright, well that's a way to win games. Boneyard Worm's pretty sweet. If we're doing the self-mill thing. We're still pretty short on creatures, which isn't very good. But we are looking to get some more in this pack. And Boneyard Worm is a nice one. Assuming that our deck comes together. Which is not a guarantee. But we're doing our best to not train wreck here. I do suspect that we're fighting with somebody, though. So we really haven't been seeing the cards that you usually expect to see late. I guess we'll find out in the next couple picks, but I'm really not seeing any of the cards that you might normally want to see to draft this deck effectively. Yeah, like nothing in this pack is good for us. I mean, Prey Upon's a good card. We don't really have enough creatures that can fight very well, but take it anyway. Runic Repetition, I guess. We have a decent number of cards with flashback. Departure, Memory's Journey, Grasp, Spider Spawning. Hinterland Harbor is interesting, but I'm going to take another Ghoul Colors Bell. Is that true? I guess not. I'll take the Hinterland Harbor. At least my mana's going to be good no matter what I do. It makes splashing a lot easier. I can play like a couple swamps in my deck and feel less bad about it. But with only 4 creatures, I'm really feeling nervous here. We really need to pick some stuff up here. A Caravan Vigil, sure. We're just not getting anything we need. We need creatures and we need another spider spawning. And the spells we have are not even that good. Alright, double Grave Bramble. We're in. Alright, Dream Twisted Wheel, so that's one glimmer of hope. We're really going to need pack 3 to knock it out of the park here. So I'm not feeling too good about our spot here. This is the risk of forcing a janky archetype, especially during these flashback drafts, because there is a very real possibility that, you know, several people at this table sat down with the sole mind of drafting a deck like this, even when it's not open, which I guess we fall into that camp as well, but if any other person at this table is doing the same thing, then that becomes a much harder thing to do, because it really only supports like one person. And we're also not in a good spot to pivot into something else if the deck doesn't come together. We're kind of all in here. Alright, Hollowhenge Scavenger. I might just have to play some random creatures like the Kindercatch also. I mean, we're going to have enough playables, but the question is our deck going to be playable? And that remains to be seen. Let's open something sweet here. Maybe open like a Liliana or a Snapcaster just to get our money back, feel a little bit less bad about the situation. Plasmasac, not really what we're looking for. Another spider spawning though. I'm pretty happy with that. Makeshift Mauler is also acceptable. But yeah, spider spawning number 2. It's not bad. If we can just... We're still only at 7 creatures though. Definitely going to be looking for some more. We need some Deranged Assistants, we need some Armored Scabs. Stitcher's Apprentice even, I would take. Just any playable creatures that go well with our strategy. I mean, Claustrophobia is a good card, but I can't really afford to take any more spells. I really need to start taking creatures. So I might just take Dark Thicket Wolf or Fortress Crab. I guess Fortress Crab's a little better. So we're not really caring about playing 2 drops and, you know, going to town with them. We kind of just want to turtle up and go over the top of people. So that makes sense to me. There's another Armored Scab, definitely snapping that up. Even though there's a Mulch, which I do like in this deck, we really just need solid actual creatures here. Been a very weird draft, I will say that much. Prey Upon isn't unplayable either, I can consider that. The Grave Brambles can usually fight pretty well. We got a couple bigger guys that we're probably going to be playing at this point. I need to get like 3 or 4 creatures here that I am not embarrassed to be playing. I mean, Dawn of the Bone's playable. I might just take this Typhoid Rats actually. I'm already looking to splash black, and I might just have to go a little deeper into the color than I wanted to just to make my whole strategy work. And it is kind of, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't mind it too much. Gonna have to take some risks. Yep, definitely think someone else is in our strategy because now everything's just drying up. Every color looks open except ours. Galvanic Juggernaut is not at all what I'm looking to be doing, but it's the only possible card we can take here that's playable. I'm not playing double Prey Upon or another Curiosity. Alright. Disciple of Grizzlebrand, not really what I want either. Falconwrath Noble's a good card. I guess I'll take it. At least we know our creature count is getting up there. Take another Dream Twist. Could take something like Moon Heron, but... Alright. Feeling a little less awful now. Geist Catcher's Rig is playable also. Don't really want Grave Bramble number 4. We've already got another one if we needed to play it. I don't want Memory's Journey number 2 either. Alright. Okay, we have options. Our deck wasn't a complete train wreck, just most of a train wreck. Definitely didn't come together as well as it could have, but could be worse. So we need to make some cuts here. Cellar Door is not playable. I'm just reading it to remember what it did. Knot of the Bone came back. We can most likely just sideboard it, but it is an option. 13 creatures is okay, but I don't really want to play this Juggernaut. I'd almost rather play another Grave Bramble, but I am a little concerned about not having enough ways to win the game. Although maybe that shouldn't be my concern at all. Maybe my concern should just be turtling up as much as possible and just going completely over the top with the spider spawning. So at this point, what are my cuts? So I do have to make some. I can get away with 16 land here because I have double Caravan Vigil, so that still means I need to make 3 cuts. And what are they? Sort separately here, get a better sense of our creature situation. I mean, the easy first cut would be Grave Bramble, but I really want to start with spells just to make sure that I have a high enough creature count. Centerland Harbor isn't a spell, so yeah, 3 cuts we need to make. I'm looking at Curse of the Bloody Tome, we might not need, because we got a decent amount of self-mill. Spider Spawning's kind of a creature, but also kind of not, because it relies on my other creatures in order to be actually good. I kind of like keeping the Memory's Journey Runic Repetition conjunction in, just to be safe, and make sure that I really have the late game locked up. So... can cut Cool Colors Bell. I don't want to cut too much myself mill because that is kind of exactly what we're trying to do. Don't really want to cut Sensory Deprivation either though. Let's see, maybe One-Eyed Scarecrow is better than one of the Grave Brambles. So we can make that swap and feel less embarrassed about it. $26, still have to cut 2, or I could play like 15 land, but that's a little bit scary because our mana is kind of sketchy as is already, and we want to get up to like 7 mana, even 8 mana sometimes. So maybe I do just cut the Memory's Journey Runic Repetition combo. And we can like side it in if we get into a super degenerate matchups where decking becomes a much bigger concern. It's not the worst idea in the world. Could also consider cutting one of the Caravan Vigils and just accepting the fact that our mana is going to be awkward. But that also, having 2 of them in also allows me to cut down on land, so if I cut one of them, I'd have to basically just add the 17th land in anyway. I think that logic holds up, but maybe not. If we did this, play 2 swamps, something like 7/6, maybe 8/5. Sort by color, because we are pretty heavily into green. No, not as heavily as I thought actually. We do have quite a bit of early blue. Do want double green kind of. Caravan Vigil fixes for blue also, which is one thing drawing me away from an extra island over an extra forest, but we are also going to want to use Caravan Vigil to get a swamp pretty decent amount of the time also. So yeah, I think this is what I'm going to go with. The only questions are, let's pull out the cards we could play. If we need more interaction, we can play Prey Upon, possibly Knot of the Bone, but probably not. And then of course the 2-card combo, which I think I'll probably just side in, depending on matchup, once we get a better idea for what our opponent's doing. And if we need to really do that to protect ourselves. But I think this is my plan. Yep, and we're going to go ahead and go to round 1.